Hello! Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. I was almost on time this time. I see there's a couple people in the chat already. How's it going? Karina, you might have noticed. I hope you don't mind, since you're always so sweet to everybody and introducing yourself to everyone in the chat and welcoming everyone. I went ahead and made you a moderator. I see you guys already noticed the laundromat. Well, I took your suggestion from last week. I told you guys that I was going to start using backgrounds that you suggested. Welcome to the Kpop laundromat. We are open 24/7. We are the laundromat that never sleeps. And we use our patented Washboard Ab Technology. Karina said, I will do my best. I know you will. Like I said, I always see you being so sweet to everybody in the chat. And you have been following my channel and you follow my art account and everything else for such a long time. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and make her a moderator. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's having a great weekend. Welcome, welcome. I apologize that there was no stream last week. I was having all of the problems. Streamlabs just kept crashing for some reason last week. I was actually really lucky that I was even able to upload last week's video. Because even my editing software kept crashing. I'm like really happy that I finally switched to an editing software that automatically saves for me once every few minutes, so I didn't lose much. So yeah, I made it to a live. Welcome! Thank you for coming. If you're not the biggest Infinite fan, but did all the inserts right, but much appreciated. Appreciate service group 11th anniversary a few days ago. I see you, sir. I always did. Rude. I see a couple more people wandering into the chat. Hello, welcome. Sunyol, yep, yes, yes. There's been a whole lot of just open, blatant rudeness going on. I saw bits and pieces of Juan Ho's live stream, his Instagram live, where he was like, why are we on the floor? Why are you rolling back and forth on the floor? What is happening? I don't get it. He knows what he's doing. He knows. That man knows. So, just so you guys know, this lovely picture of Suga and Jimin over here behind the counter using our patented washboard ab technology, I did not Photoshop that. Like, I edited it. Like, all I did was I cut the picture out. But this is actually a real picture, and I completely forgot that this happened. That actually, at one point in time, Suga did you actually use Jimin's abs to wash his laundry. Back in 2013, shortly after BTS's debut, Suga threw down a gauntlet to Army and basically said that if they could get their Twitter account to 10,000 followers before their next Music Bank performance. I think it was at Music Bank. It might have been a different show. But he basically said if they could get the Twitter account to 10,000 followers before the next performance, that he would use Jimin's abs to do his laundry. And he did just that. So wait a minute. I will actually blow the picture up. There we go. And Suga edited this photo himself. He actually edited all the like line stickers and whatnot onto it. Oh, sorry. I disappeared the chat box for a second. I don't know how or why I did that. Wait, there we go. There's a picture of Suga actually editing the photo of him washing his laundry on Jimin's abs. So, yep, that is a thing that happened at one point in time. I see we got more people wandering in. Hello, hello. How you guys doing? Thanks for coming and joining us on this fine Sunday. Jimin's face makes that picture. Yeah, I know. Early day, like shortly after debut, BTS was like incredible. On a break with my BF, so I've been watching lots of old fan made videos. Okay. This is what said the good old days. Mina said, congrats on 500 followers. Thank you. We finally got there. It was like pulling teeth. I thought it was hilarious that YouTube sent me an email, like one of those like generic default congratulation emails when I hit 500 subs a couple days ago. But when I hit 10,000 subscribers on the old channel, it took them almost a year to send me an email congratulating me. So I thought that was kind of funny. But it's funny because I use this like add-on plugin for YouTube called vidIQ, and they still sent me a generic congratulation email before YouTube did. It took 11 months, but we finally got there. But I still have at least 500 subs to go before it can actually like really do anything on the back end of the channel. Like I still can't monetize videos, but it doesn't really matter because let's be honest, I can't monetize most of my videos anyways. But I would like to be able to use community post and also like go live on my phone, but you can't do that until you have at least 1,000 subs, or I think it's 4,000 hours of watch time at this point. Given the views that I get right now, I think the subscriber number is more achievable than the watch time right now. So I said, remember the awkwardness of BTS with rappers? Can't forget that. I still laugh at the cool Andrew. We don't talk about that here. We try to forget that. I also pre-ordered Schumann's version of EXO's recent comeback, waiting for that to arrive, and I ordered my coworker baking version as a birthday gift. Nice, nice. I did not order it because I have ordered so many albums in the last year and my bank account is crying. So I said that I wasn't going to get the album right now. I'll probably get it eventually, but right now I have to be kind to my wallet. You know, it was buying Super M's album in that freaking Taeyong gigantic plush pillow thing. So I said, Lay is back. Oh my god, Lay, my baby. Yes, finally. Like, you know what? I'm completely okay with green screen Lay. Like, that's fine with me. I'm just like, if you guys knew you were gonna green screen him in, couldn't you have worked him into more of the video? Like, why is he just in that, like, 2 second scene hiding in a closet? And then they just kind of threw him in at the end during the, like, group dance party. Just said, I miss Lay. Really wish I could get his last album. My new thing is I've just been waiting. Like, if I know I'm going to, like, obviously we couldn't do anything last year, but if I know I'm gonna be able to like travel to Japan, I will just wait now, um, and just buy K-pop albums in Japan when I go, and I'll go to Tower Records because Tower Records still exists in Japan, and they will normally have just about everything still in stock and at a much better price than you'll pay online, plus you don't have to pay shipping. So it was a good 2 seconds though. That it was. But I'm just like, I just thought it was funny though. I'm like, how y'all just gonna zoom in to a closet to show Lay? If they had had green screen Lay in Obsession, that would have ended me. We know what that man is capable of. You know what they should have? I don't see why they didn't. I wasn't Gekung, so gave me the evil eye, his regular look. Yep, yep, always, always. It's like I know it's gonna be a while before we have like all of EXO back together, but I feel like on the when they have their days off, when they can actually leave the base, I mean, just start green screening in everybody. You know, screw it. Start green screening in people that like aren't part of EXO. I'm completely fine with that. See, that's what SM needs to start doing, since they wanna do all these like AI groups and holograms and things like that. They should just make like another Super M, another super group, but they just take a bunch of members from all of the artists on their roster, and like everybody's a hologram. I'd pay for that. I'd pay to see just like what they already did it with Girls' Generation back in the day, where they had the hologram concert outside of the SM building. So I don't see why we can't bring that back. So it says the one EXO clip that lives rent free in my head, always Lay telling and getting Suho to sit on his lap. Rent free in your head. That clip lives rent free on my phone. Let's get the petition started. I wouldn't it's like I know a lot of people think it's like really creepy, but I'm okay with the hologram thing. Long as they have permission from all the artists that they're using, I'm more okay with that than the completely AI groups and members and stuff like that. Like I'm not one of those people that thinks it's creepy. Like I completely support like the whole AI thing. I think it's more so the poor intentions of some fans or anti-fans or whatever. I mean, look at me. I went from doing live action videos and now you guys are watching my digital avatar. So, I mean, but the whole hologram thing I'm fine with. Like I showed in the one virtual idol video that I posted where they did the uh, hologram photo booths for BTS at shows where fans could take pictures with BTS in the photo booths, and the pictures turned out where it looked like you were sitting right next to them. And then, as I just mentioned, they did the hologram Girls' Generation concert outside the SM building. So was it him patting his thigh, just looking at him? Oh my god! Like I said, I have that video saved to my phone, and whenever I get a new phone, that video gets transferred right along. So now that would be a super group I'd paid for. That sent me to straight daddy energy. Well, don't forget Lay this upcoming Father's Day. So I'm a Gorillaz fan. I'm okay with it. So yeah, like I'm fine with that. Like I think the hologram group concept could definitely work. Um, there is one new AI group that I haven't checked out. Like I've seen clips, but I haven't checked out the full video yet. And I guess the group itself is made by an AI company. It's not an actual like music company. It's like an AI company. I think they're called Plus Nine or something like that. But there's a new AI girl group where they're not based on real people. Like all of them are completely computer generated, but they look deep faked, but apparently they're not. Um, but I guess it's been creeping a lot of people out because their faces, even though it's like this like super advanced AI company, their faces just don't fit their heads correctly, if that makes any sense. Um, but I'm completely okay with AI groups, but like I said, I'd be more for the hologram concerts and whatnot. Like I guess back in the day, I don't know if they still do it. They might still do it, but um, SM used to have, when you could tour the building, you could watch the hologram concert or like movie, the Wizard of Oz thing that they had for a while. I went to a Hatsune Miku concert with my friend years ago. I'm fine with the K-pop version. Yeah, I'll sit wherever you want me to, Daddy. I love that we're still talking about Lay. Yeah, I watched Eternity's MV. It really did scare me. I'm gonna have to pull it up here because like I said, I haven't watched the full MV. I've seen clips. Apparently, it's gotten better. Someone said, like, I guess they started uploading individual interviews. I'd be trying to put my bias is evil. I'm low-key scared of him. Aw, don't be scared of Lay. He just wants to love you. Hang on, let me see here. Hang on, let me turn the... Okay, yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no. It looks like one of those at that app that like they. You guys gotta let me know if this is too loud. Um, it looks like that app that they constantly like advertise to you on like Instagram, where you can swap your face with like celebrities from like movie clips and whatnot. They're not. They don't fit their face correctly. Like I feel like if they would have shrunk the faces a little bit more, like some of them don't look terrible, but apparently these aren't based on like any real people. Like these are all actual like computer generated faces, like run through an algorithm of like attractive traits and used to compile to create a fake person. Um, but you can kind of see who they borrow traits from, because like there's one in there that I see that definitely looks like Jenny from Blackpink, and I see a little IU every now and again. It's just it's like they look like bobbleheads, and they look like bobbleheads. They look like I don't. It's unnerving. It is. It is. It's unnerving. I don't. It's not terrible. It's just. Hmm. So apparently, like everything is CG. Like even the bodies. Like at first, I thought that it was just the heads put onto like other performers, but no. Apparently, these are all fake people, and it's all completely CG. What they did is they said that they uploaded like over 100 AI characters to a website, and they asked the general public to basically pick their favorites, and that's who debuted in the group. If these were the ones that were picked for the group, I really, really wonder, like, what the other ones. This is they float. It's not seamless. The faces just float. So why can't Korea just bring back Korean-based Vocaloids? It's less creepy. I think they just don't want to spend the money. Um, but there are people that are making Korean Vocaloid, like original Korean Vocaloids. There's just companies just don't seem to want to put the money into it. But there are other projects that are similar to Vocaloid that they kind of are investing in a little bit. Like there's actually another video that I've been working on. She's not technically a virtual idol, but she's being voiced by multiple K-pop idols, so that video should be coming out soon. But this is hmm I just feel like with this being like an actual tech company putting this out versus a music label, even though they're still working with tech companies, like SM is working with Oben, which is the same company that did the ad. Like if you guys watched my video on the first Korean virtual singer Adam that I put out like 6 or 7 months ago, I mentioned in there a company called Oben that made aespa's avatars, but before that they had actually done the same exact thing for a Chinese group. But for that group, they actually scanned the members' faces so their avatars actually looked like them. Whereas in the case of aespa, I don't know if they actually scanned them or not, because aespa's avatars don't really, like, they look good, but they don't necessarily look like the members, which I actually think is a good thing in the long run. But this, I get that they didn't actually use scans of like anyone's faces, and this is just compiled from like an archive of faces and body parts and whatnot, which just sounds really creepy. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to catch up on the chat now because I've been rambling and not paying attention. So I don't like knowing that they're not real people. It seems like a weird step for the entertainment industry. A part of why I like artists knowing how they worked for their skills. Yeah, this one is it's the other thing that I think kind of throws me off about this group too is, at least even with the other ones, like if you look at like KDA or aespa, or even going all the way back to Adam, it was a real person behind it. Even if you didn't really get to know that real person, you knew that there was still a real person behind it. But everything about this group is manufactured, from their actual whole like physical being to their voices. So there isn't a real person behind them. I mean, I guess you could say like the computer programs, but the programmer, but not the actual like performer. And it says, yep, it's a bit bad as though their face doesn't match the body. Yeah, the lighting is super weird for me. There's a YouTube channel. They make a lot of short films and whatnot. But it's like a team of FX artists, and then they have a second channel called Corridor Crew. They, a couple months ago, just like maybe a year or so ago now, they did like this super realistic deep fake of Tom Cruise, and they uploaded it, and even it wasn't perfect, but it kind of reminds me of this. But they did, the company Pulse 9 behind this girl group said that it's not deep fakes because they didn't, they're, it's not someone else's, it is, but it isn't someone else's. It's so hard to explain. It's like weird. Um, but when I was watching this, that was the first thing that came to mind, was the Tom Cruise deep fake that they did. And they actually hired a Tom Cruise impersonator and then kind of put Tom Cruise's face on top of that to make it look even more realistic, and even then it still was kind of off. So I think we're still like a couple of years off from having like super hyper realistic fake people, if that makes any sense. But this company did say that this was supposed to be like a more realistic version of like what other K-pop companies are doing, and it's supposed to be cheaper, which I mean you can kind of tell that it's cheaper, but it's also supposed to be done this way to cut down on like production time. Easily people have feeling and texture, and wait, more people will go to artists that they know are human. I just hope they don't replace real people in the future. How can real people compete? I don't think they'll ever replace real people, but virtual idols are here to stay. Virtual idols have been here. Like, if you look at the popularity of Vocaloid, and then, like I said, even down to myself right now, using a virtual avatar to talk to you guys right now. There's a lot of VTubers here on YouTube that are releasing original music and are getting like millions of views in a few hours, just like pop artists are. So, and they're doing live concerts, Hatsune Miku style, and also online concerts. So it's like there is definitely a market for it. But like I said, even with that, you still know that there's a real person behind it. Like me talking to you guys right now, you're seeing my avatar on screen, but you know that I'm a real person behind a microphone right now. Or am I? Okay. You guys know I'm real. The less real they try to make them, the less creepy they'd be. Yeah, that's my thing too. Is I feel like if you're going to do a completely AI or CG or whatever character, don't try to make it look hyper realistic. I mean, it's different if you look at, like, say you're putting them in a video game or a movie or something, but when you're trying to do something where they're directly interacting with people, it is a little unnerving, and a little creepy. There is a website that uses AI to make a human face and it doesn't exist anywhere in the world. Yeah, that I was just about to bring that up. There's a website called thispersondoesn'texist.com, and you can literally like keep refreshing the page and it'll just give you a picture of a person that was completely created by AI that looks 100% realistic, and you can actually technically buy that character or that person for, I think it's like $2 per person, or it's like you can buy 1,000 for like $1,000 or something like that. But it was made for people that want to populate like video games or like crowd scenes in movies and whatnot without having to worry about paying for extras, or um, having to basically pay people for their likeness for characters and stuff like that. You did say you did isekai yourself from your home world. I did say that. I did. I did go to a new world. Pretty much a Build a Bear AI version of a group. Yeah, it's kind of like that. I remember they did say that to create the members of this group, they uploaded 100 individual pictures of AI characters that they created, and some of those characters were male. So it makes me wonder if they have a boy group planned for the future too, depending on how this group does. So is it the uncanny valley? Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I just feel like if you're going to create a fictional character that's gonna be directly interacting with people, don't you can make it humanoid, but don't try to make it hyper realistic. When I was visiting Japan, I went to one of the science um, centers that they have there, where they have on display a lot of different robots that have been popular and built in Japan over the years, and they had like all the way from Asimo, which was like Toyota's robot, which is very humanoid shape, but it's that little white robot that like kicks a ball and stuff like that. Like he's not super like realistic, to like the Pepper robots that they have at like the airport and stuff like that now. But then they also had like these super hyper realistic news reporter robots and everything that looked very very human, and it was very creepy. Like you knew it wasn't human, but it looked very very human. I think like the thing that is always a dead giveaway, even like in movies when they sub like a human for a CG character when they're doing a stunt or something, but you can always tell because it's like the eyes and the mouth movement always give it away. Who do the gorillas feel more? Why do the gorillas feel more real than this? Like I said, I think it's because there's still a person behind that. Like, even though you're looking at a cartoon character or a CG animated character, there's still a person back there. And also, I think it's because they're also being animated by someone, whereas these things are like completely code, and everything is pre-programmed and whatnot, so they kind of like move freely on their own, if that makes any sense. But they're, I don't know, it's weird. Don't know. It's weird. I would say because my work was put into the gorillas, then in turn, yeah. Now you made me realize that Eternity can make a glitch concept. Well, I mean, I think Aespa's already doing that. That little like short film that they put out a few weeks ago that I still feel like was something that felt like it should have been released before debut. Um, but that was a whole thing. Like we're just like, what if their avatars get hacked or something? So I think they had like a little bit of the glitch thing going on there. I'm still semi surprised that we haven't seen more of them in the videos yet, but I think that's common with these like little short film, these short episodes. So Aespa's got some good songs. Knowing SM, they would rush everything. See, with Aespa, I think that SM has things planned for them, but it's like they keep having controversies, so then they have to rush things. But SM has had things in the work that we, for years, like even before Aespa was like fully formed, as I mentioned in that video I posted a while back, they had already been working with Oben on multiple other projects, and then they had like I said, the Girls' Generation hologram concerts outside the building, the hologram movie, like idol movie that was playing inside their building, and then they had like the like personal like Wendy from Red Velvet. They had like the personal Wendy hologram like in a bottle personal assistant. So I don't know. I don't know. We're headed into a very interesting time in K-pop. Like I think we just have to get used to the fact and just recognize AI idols for what they are. Because like I said, they're already kind of taking over here on YouTube. Because like I said, there's already so many YouTube VTubers that are releasing music that's getting super popular. Like there's a couple VTubers that I've listened to a few of their songs. Some of them, some of them are crap, but there are quite a few that are actually really good. What's her name? Mori Cali. Fuck, I can't remember how you pronounce her name. Mori Calliope. Please forgive me. Calliope. It's one of those two ways, but she is like a Hololive member, which is like a VTuber idol agency in Japan. But she's part of they have like an English branch, I guess, and her character at least is a Grim Reaper, but she's also a rapper. I was listening to the other day her song "Off with Their Heads," and it's actually really, really good. And I think when I looked at it, it had like over 2 million views or something like that. So, virtual idols are definitely going to be a bigger thing moving forward. The second way you said it is correct. Calliope, is that it? I still I've started watching VTubers. I don't really watch that many streams, but I watch some of the clips because YouTube recommends them to me constantly. I see a lot of her clips, and then they recommend me a lot of the Hollow Live stuff. What's the shark? The Gaur. I feel so bad here. I'm like terrible at pronouncing names. Gargura? Gura, I just call her Gura. The shark, she's adorable. I think she's absolutely adorable. Like, YouTube keeps recommending me not necessarily her clips of her videos, but people that have been animating clips from her live streams. There's one guy that does like South Park style animation, and I guess she was playing Dead by Daylight, and he edited part of that video in the South Park style, and it was hilarious. So yeah, you said Gura's name right. I'm bad at pronouncing names. Like even in real life situations, I'm bad at pronouncing names and I'm bad at remembering names. Um, like I never forget a face. Like I still will run into people from like when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and even like not seeing them like 20 years later or whatever, I still recognize them, but I cannot remember names to save my life. It's a type of music box, calliope. I have no idea how to spell it. Isn't like calliope? Isn't what it? I isn't a calliope something else too? Isn't it an instrument or something too? But outside of that, there's been some other like indie VTubers that I see pop up that I've started following on Twitter. Man, I started following just a handful of VTubers on Twitter, and my entire timeline changed. Let me tell you, like I don't know what is going on in the VTuber community. Um, but yeah, they are into some things. Like my timeline went from being like 50% K-pop to like a whole lot of like not safe for work content. She said it's a keyboard that resembles an organ. Yes, okay. That's what I thought. I'm like I thought it was an instrument, but I wasn't sure. Let's see here. Let's pull up. I go to see do. Okay, because I know they started it like uploading. Okay, so this is one of the interviews that they uploaded recently. Like the face still floats a bit, but that does look like a real person, sort of. That's just creepy. It's just creepy that that's not a real person. Okay, now she they fucked up the lighting on her face. That's not. They were doing pretty good there for a second. It's like the shading and the lighting is super off. No, she looked a little glitchy. There you go. Let's see if we can. Let's look at another one. Okay, see that looks a little better. See, that's the other thing too is I think hair goes a long way too in helping like hide seams and make things look a little bit. Okay, never mind. I take that back. Her eyes got really weird there for a second. I don't like it. I I feel like it would be unnatural if they weren't moving so much. But at the same time, I feel like if they weren't moving, it would be a lot easier to get the face to stay aligned and in position. Because every time she moves, you see her facial features shift slightly. It's not that bad. It's not as bad. It's not as bad as it was in the music video. She also doesn't blink as much as she probably should. I need her to blink more, says the woman whose avatar doesn't blink. Wait, did you look up the lore of the group? No, wait, what lore? I didn't look up the lore. There's lore? I need to look up lore. Okay, no, she shouldn't have moved her hair because now that threw things off quite a bit. Where do I find the lore? Hang on. Now I'm curious. Hang on. We gotta find lore. Is there lore? Do they have a lore video, or am I gonna have to actually like pull? Hang on. Let's look through their videos here. I also don't like that the name of their debut song is "I'm Real." That okay. I see art concept. Oh no! Oh no! No no! Why is? What is? Hold on! Wait a minute! What do we get? Oh no! Oh no! No! Put the gun down, ma'am. Please. Oh. What if it's a Powerpuff Girl concept? They were created by a scientist. I would actually, you know what, be fine with that. I would think I would actually like that more than I don't know if you guys actually saw the leaked script for the live action Powerpuff the new Powerpuff Girls. There's a YouTube channel, I think his channel was 3C. He actually acted out. He used a green screen and multiplied himself and acted out like the entire leaked script. It was bad. Oh man, it was bad. Like Mojo Jojo was like just like a kid who his name happened to be Jojo, and he grows up to like be the mayor of Townsville. Like, oh god. Yeah, like the series, I don't think there needs to be a live action Powerpuff Girl series, but it's going to happen. It's inevitable. But like they tried to make it like super gritty and realistic. Like one of them had like an alcohol addiction and was like a washed up actress or some crap. It was oh Jesus Christ. No, I need them to stop. Oh my god, no, that script that killed me. There's a live action Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, there's the CW, so if that tells you right there the quality, the home of Riverdale, is making a live action Powerpuff Girl series, and apparently the script and the pilot that they shot was so bad they decided to scrap it and just go for a page one rewrite. So they filmed the pilot. It was really really bad, and now they're putting it on the shelf right now until a better pilot gets written. But recently the script for it leaked online. So if you search on Google and look hard enough, you can find the leaked script. From what I remember, they're supposed to come from a dying planet. It was also the concept for being. Yeah, there was a time in K-pop in like 20 between like 2011 and 2014 where there were so many groups that debuted that had the concept of being aliens or coming from another planet. It was the time of K-pop isekais. um yeah. So yeah, we're about due for another alien K-pop group. What is that? Titans? I think Teen Titans live action. I have not watched the Teen Titans live action. One, because I don't know what fucking streaming service it's on because there's like 30 of them now. Hang on. Remy, what are you doing? I can't imagine if ever working, but maybe I'll be surprised. I can't see a live action Powerpuff Girls working. Like even I watched one episode of the rebooted animated series and I couldn't even make it through the entire episode. I think just some shows you can bring back either in live action or animated again and they work, but there are some things that are very very much of their time. I do feel like you can just do something else that's similar and inspired by like the Powerpuff Girls, but I don't think there needs to be a flat out remake or reboot or whatever you want to call it. Speaking of CW, I want any group to do a supernatural concept. There's been tons of groups that have done supernatural concepts, but it's like they do them for like one comeback and then like switch to something else after. The Titan show actually really good. I hope they make another season. I never really got it. Like I'm a big comic book fan. I never really got into Teen Titans. I'm a huge Batman fan, but I don't know. I'd never really gotten into Teen Titans. If they do, then I expect random member to scream ass. That's a deep cut right there. If they do, then I expect a random member to scream. She watches on HBO Max. I have HBO Max. I don't remember when the last time I logged into my HBO Max account was, though, because I got in when they were doing like a bundle with Hulu where it was like free for like 2 weeks, and then I think I pay $25 a month for both Hulu and HBO Max. But Hulu has a thing where if you have HBO Max, you can just watch things from HBO Max through Hulu. So I haven't actually logged into HBO Max to see what else is on there. Like I probably will actually later on tonight because I want to watch In the Heights. I thought that like I like Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like I thought that like after Hamilton, I'm like, oh, maybe I like musicals now. And then I listened to a couple other musicals and I'm like, nope, I just like Hamilton. But I have listened to the soundtrack for In the Heights and I like a lot of the songs. So I'm actually looking forward to watching that. Didn't BAP have like fake reality program that revolved around them? Yep, yes they did. Oh, they most certainly did. Jesus, that's what I miss about K-pop. The ridiculous. Yes, thank you. That was like the whole reason that I started this new channel, and you guys are now going to be able to hear Remy drinking water in the background. Why I started this channel? Where is this like? That was one of the reasons that I got into K-pop, like back in like 2011, 2012, was the whole ridiculousness of it. Because before I really got into K-pop, I didn't really listen to pop music. Like I'm still a big like metalhead hard rock fan, and I came across a GD and Top video and it was just so weird and so over the top that I started looking into more K-pop, and I loved how weird and absurd it was, and now everything is like getting normal and way too westernized, and I'm like, I just want my super weird like K-pop dudes in like half horse costumes running around a racetrack. I got HBO Max exclusively for Studio Ghibli movies. You know what's kind of funny? Like, right before I signed up for HBO Max, a lot of Studio Ghibli started popping up on Netflix. So I thought that was weird too. Jungkook was so cute and happy back then. Aww. All of them were happy back then before TS like completely became monsters. Jungkook is always cute while at the same time being as fine as wine. Man. I'm just looking forward to him coming back with new music and a new attitude, new body, new everything. I was really excited when he posted that teaser on Instagram earlier this week. Speaking of Instagram and also speaking of BAP, I noticed that Himchan actually posted earlier today. And that's like the first time he's posted since I think October after his car accident. Um, and I'm a little worried because he was apologizing again, but then he ended the post with goodbye. So I don't know if that's just him basically retiring from the industry or letting us know that he's not going to be posting on social media at all anymore. Or I'm like, I need someone to just go check on him and make sure that he's okay right now. So I said, thoughts on 2 p.m.'s comeback teaser, June K. I see you, sir. I haven't watched it yet. I need. Hold on. Now you guys do to YouTube we go. Da, 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 da. This is a whole ass trailer. JYP, please don't copyright strike me. Alright, sir. Don't throw your towels at me, sir. Okay. Okay. You don't need to start like taking your clothes off in the car while okay. There are too many lingering looks and stares going on here. I love a man in glasses. Excuse you? That tilt though. Alright, I need y'all to tone down the K-pop soul stare. I know that y'all have had a couple decades to perfect it. Can people please stop putting things in or near around their mouth? That'd be great. Thank you. What did I just say? What did I just say? Okay, sir. I see that bear skin or wolf skin rug or whatever. All right, y'all got a staring problem. So what are we? What? See, y'all were trying to seduce everybody, and you brought in aliens. You must what? Okay. Why did y'all make me watch that? That's right, I'm blaming all of you. Blaming everybody that's in the chat right now. So I miss Himchan. He's my birthday twin. Himchan has had a pretty rough time lately. Himchan has had been having a rough time since before BAP officially disbanded. And it sucks because he seemed like he was getting things back on track, and then like I literally think his car accident was like 2 days, like the day after maybe even that he released his like comeback single. I like idols that feel like adults. Same. Given I am one. Like I said, the door is open for June K, and all the members are hitting in line. They just don't make idols like that anymore. They do. They really, really do. They just don't get the same, like, airtime or recognition that younger idols get. I'm offended in the way he washed the car. Do they teach them? They do teach them that stare in training. I forgot who it was, but I was watching a YouTube video recently of a former trainee, and they were saying that they actually do, like, when they prepare them for photo shoots and whatnot, they actually have them, like, in the practice room stare into the mirror, like, seductively, like, learning how to use their face, basically. It's sure in the contract you need to learn to stare. I'm pretty sure it's in the contract somewhere too, because we're getting fully grown men to slaughter us. It's like very, very rare nowadays that you will get a new group that debuts where there's a member that's like over the age of 25, but there have been a couple where it's like all the members were like 25 plus. BAP was the first group that I got to see in concert, so I have a soft spot for them. I feel bad for him. Yeah, like BAP is still my hands down my ultimate bias group. They are the group that, like, I used to joke that Big Bang was the group that introduced me to K-pop, but BAP was the group that got me to stay. Some idols do it better than others. I got to see 2PM in person 7 years ago. I need a comeback concert tour. I'm very curious to see what not just K-pop concerts, but I guess just concerts in general are really gonna look like uh, when things slowly start getting back to normal. So I have to, I'm just gonna play a clip for you guys that one of my friends sent me. Um, I don't watch a lot of anime, but I do watch a few here and there. But my friend sent this to me with no explanation. I'm just gonna be quiet and let you guys watch this. So, yeah, that was a thing. Oh god, and we're back to this. Oh my god, that face. Ah. we're just gonna we're gonna make that go away. So I wasn't familiar with that anime. Kijo, I think it's called. My friend sent that to me. Apparently, it's like a sports anime where it's like sumo wrestling, but it's women who just fight with their boobs and their ass. And that scene was a parody of the Gates of Babylon from Fate Stay Night. What the fuck is happening in anime? Like, I don't watch enough anime to be like familiar with what is going on. Please, someone inform me what is happening in anime. These really young ones don't need to stare at me like that. I just look away. I just shield my eyes. So I know this anime, not a fan. Said what? Hi Boogie, welcome. I don't know if I can handle seeing them in person. Other idols are safe for me, excluding Wonho, but that might be a lot. These new groups might be safe to see. Like I've mentioned in the past, like I just am not that into a lot of the like newer groups that have debuted, and I'll say like the last two two and a half years, there hasn't really been many groups that I've been that into. Look up the Virgin Ball. That is a Dragon Ball Z parody. I don't know. Just that title alone, I'm scared. I'm scared. I need an adult. Do new K-pop fans know about the old stuff? Do they know Internet War? I think Internet War is one of those ones that like new fans do definitely know about. Because I noticed from like my old channel doesn't get a ton of views since I'm not active over there anymore, but I have noticed that that video on my old channel still gets a consistent like decent number of views every month. So if people are watching reaction videos of Internet War, I'd say that there is still interest in it. Internet War is one of my favorite things to ever exist. Why do you just you go from being shirtless to putting a shirt on just so you can take the shirt back off again? I know newer fans don't know about A-Lee since her shitty ex-company blacklisted her. Yeah. Oh god, Internet War, the first time I saw Taemin that way. I feel like Internet War was the first time Taemin saw Taemin that way. there, there are some newer fans that do go back and check out like older, like first and second generation K-pop and whatnot, but there are definitely newer fans that do not. Like when I posted that video about Zelos shortly after BAP disbanded like BAP officially disbanded at the beginning in January of 2019. I think I posted that video about Zello when he signed with a new company and released his first solo album. I think I released that like 2 months or 3 months later, so that would have been only like 3 months after BAP disbanded. And someone commented on that video and they had a BTS member as their profile picture, and it was just like, I don't know who this is. You know, newer fans don't know who old groups are, and I'm just like, dude, they debuted like less than a full year before BTS, and they just disbanded a few months ago. They are not technically an old group. Junghyun is the definition of extra. Yeah. Taemin has been creeping up on my list for a long time. I was shocked to see fans younger than me that knew about the first gen K-pop groups press your number era started. Yeah, it's like a lot. There are some newer K-pop fans that go back and look at the older stuff, but a lot of them are pretty much only interested in the new younger groups. Which, you know what, I can't fault them for. When I first started getting into K-pop back in like late 2011, early 2012, I didn't really go back and look at a lot of the older groups. Like I went back and looked at other groups that debuted around the same time as like Big Bang, but I didn't start like looking into groups like Baby Vox and Lexi and Seo Taji and the Boys and things like that until probably like about 2 years into me like really getting into K-pop. It took me a while, but God, Tame has been killing me recently. The man hasn't given me a break. Taemin recently, I feel like he's like, I'm going to the military, we're just gonna let everything go. But, and some of y'all might not like me saying this, but I kind of feel like I did like Taemin's last song. But For some reason, the song itself and even down to the choreography didn't really feel like Taemin to me. Like that, the choreography and the song itself felt like it was a song that was meant to be on Kai's album, and then they just decided to just like give it to Taemin. I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah, that kind of what it felt like to me. But I still liked it. Taemin is still my talented baby carrot fingers bias. Why you gotta bring up the baby carrot fingers? I had a friend who never knew about C Clown or 24K, sat her down and made her watch their MVs. I wasn't a huge fan of C Clown or 24K. Like, 24K eventually grew. Like, I liked them, like, watching some of their interviews and, like, appearances and stuff like that, but they didn't have a ton of songs until, like, right around when. Right before Corey left. I started liking a lot of the newer music that they released. And then C Clown, I only really liked like maybe one of their songs. But I do still think that they were a really talented group, and they definitely didn't get the promotions or recognition that they really deserved. Speaking of 24K and Corey's started his own company called, I think it's 28 Lab or something like that. I really like a lot of the music that he's been putting out. On that list with like 24K and Seacon, I would definitely add Top Dog to it. Top Dog should have been so much bigger than they actually were. Um, because they were kind of put together and meant to compete with XO when they first debuted, and their original like debut songs were great, but I feel like they were just victims of having a really really shitty company that didn't know what they were doing. Because Stardom back in the like Stardom was great at debuting groups, really really strong. Like start like even with like Block B, and then you had like Top Dog and Evil was like really good. Like I'm not a big fan of girl groups, but I loved Evil. Like Stardom was really really great at debuting groups really strong, but after a few months they're like, okay, they debuted, now what? Like they didn't really, it seemed like beyond debut with all of their groups they didn't have a solid plan. And then when they merged with Hunis and Hunis bought them out, I really thought that things were going to turn around because Hunis seemed like they were putting more time and money into Top Dog. Like when they had their own reality show. And they released all those like additional video, like they started doing more weekly videos on YouTube and putting out like short music video teasers and stuff like that. But then the same thing that lasted a couple months and then nothing. I saw 24 Series reason come back because I still wanted to keep supporting. Baby Carrot Fingers keep him. My non-sexual bias. Okay. Yeah, Top Dog, they could have been bigger. Someone explained to me that he's been criticized for the way that he sings, so he wanted to show a versatile he is in Advice. But I feel like Advice is a great song. I really, really, really like Advice, but I don't feel like Advice showed off a more versatile side or like his vocals as much as if that was his intention as it could have. But like I said, I don't know, just like the song and especially the choreography, I was like, this was meant for Kai. This wasn't originally meant for Taemin. It was Evil. I really love them so much. They were done dirty. Everyone that ever walked into the Stardom Entertainment building was done dirty. Um, if I can like get enough like information together, I really want to do a video on Underdog, which was Top Dog's brother group, because there were so many things, and just so many things that happened to members in that group, and they never officially debuted. Um, but yeah, everybody, like even like Block B was trying to let us know how shitty things were at Stardom, but like none of us were paying any attention, man. He says he has a good voice. That's stupid. Yeah, Taman has a great voice. Now, it was actually kind of funny when I was working on my Ori video like a year or so ago. There was constantly with like Ori and people talking about how bad her debut was and her voice and whatnot. The two people that constantly I noticed like going back into like can't talk archive performance like message boards and stuff like that, is a lot of the comments whenever they would talk about Ori, they would bring up Taman and they would bring up Suli. And a lot of people were commenting about back in the day, like how Taman couldn't sing. But you also have to remember that was back when he was like 14, 15 years old. Um, but yeah, in like a lot of the comments where people were talking about Ori and like how bad her singing was in her debut, a lot of people would bring up Taman. And I think that he still kind of, even like all these years later, like, was it 12 years later, he still carries some of that with him and still feels like he needs to prove himself. Says, oh my god, I remember Underdog. Well, at least hearing that they were coming. Yeah, when Top Dog had their debut showcase, Underdog performed as well. And then they were supposed to debut a few months after Top Dog. And then nothing. And then one of the members from Top Dog left Top Dog, and the company released a statement stating that he was leaving because he was transferring to Underdog, which at that point, it was like almost 2 years after Top Dog's debut, and Underdog still had not debuted, and we had been hearing rumors that several members had left Underdog. So there was just a lot of shady shit happening in Stardom, and eventually Hunis once they bought them out. Apparently they think that he can't do anything other than lazy smooth vocals. Can we please get a collab of Pio and Minnow? They've done a couple. They've done a couple collabs. I mean, not recently. Like I feel like Pio hasn't been doing a lot musically lately. Like I feel like he's been kind of stuck in that like reality show rut. Ori's vocals wasn't that bad, and people seem to forget that she was a child that literally got bowled and torn apart by grown adults. Her vocals really weren't that bad. Like, she definitely had some missed notes. Her voice definitely cracked a little bit. I think that even all the way back then, that it wouldn't have been as big of a deal if IU hadn't performed literally 5 minutes before she did. And I wasn't able to include parts of IU's performance in that video that I posted because it kept getting the video blocked worldwide for like 20 seconds of footage, so I had to cut all of it. But at that time, IU was only a year older than Ori, and she had also debuted the previous year at the same age, and she had like a very, very strong voice, like beyond her years. So I think a lot of people were looking at this 16-year-old that performed before Ori, who was 15 at the time, and they started making unfair comparisons. Because like I said, while I was working on that video, I actually listened to her EP several times. Was she the greatest singer? No. But she was decent. She was not a ballad singer, which was what her company wanted her to be. She did not have the vocal to be a ballad singer. I think that she should have debuted in a group first, honed her skills for a couple years, and then if they wanted to have her release like a solo, I think that would have been better. But her company wanted to rush things because they literally rushed her training and rushed her out the door because they wanted her to compete with IU and the other, like I said in that video, Korea was going through what they were calling the schoolgirl debut boom, where they had like a lot of teen and preteen girls debuting around the same time. I remember a replay era interview Taemin did, and the guy asking shot him, you could tell he was bothered. Taking shots at him until he was bothered. Yeah, people mistake Taemin having no lines in replay as he couldn't sing, was just his vocals weren't strong like others in the group. Once again, he was a kid too. Like, Taemin was 15, I think, like 14, 15 at that time. During the same interview, he said he was gonna practice until he could sing well like on Jung Hyun, and he definitely followed through. Taemin definitely has one of the most iconic voices in K-pop, in my opinion. I always know when it's him singing. I think it's like Taemin's known more so for his dancing and his visuals, obviously. And I think he's really trying to up his vocals, which I think he has. I really do. Says, I can't imagine that for a 14-year-old. I mean, I hate to bring this up, but like I recently, well, not recently, like a month ago, I watched that Britney Spears documentary, and not to say it's like the same situation, but looking at like the old videos of how she was treated when she was right around the same age, because when she first started performing, she was even younger, and it just, I don't know, I just, the entertainment industry is trash. Like, there's good things, but there's so many bad things, and it's just, I don't know, I can't imagine, like, I couldn't even imagine like being a kid in the entertainment industry. Hi, Remy. Sorry, Remy's back here making all kinds of noises. So don't forget, you guys have to send me some more recommendations for what next week's background's gonna be. Since this week we made it to the laundromat, so you have to let me know where we should be next week. She was treated so awfully, makes me sick. Yeah, like I honestly, I really do hope someday that Ori comes back. Like she mentioned, like I mentioned in my video, like if that one interview that I found is actually real, that she wanted to become a producer and produce music. But I really do hope that she comes back as a singer, and I would absolutely love it if she came back as on that show, The Masked Singer, and just like blew everybody away. But at the same time, like we were just talking about people wanting to be more anonymous in the industry nowadays. Like she could just come back in a mask, and that'd be fine. SM at that time was just focused on making sure all the slots were full. Let's train on other things later. I mean, in all honesty, as I've been doing these like history videos and whatnot, and looking back on like first generation idols and second generation idols and whatnot, honestly, there were a lot of idols that were lacking in a lot of things, and it was like there was definitely more of a focus on visuals. Eventually, there became a big focus on choreo, But it feels like in the early days, it was more how cute can you be? And not necessarily in looks, but more so in mannerisms and like how personable can you be with fans than it was on the actual like vocals and music itself, which it got better, but it wasn't, there wasn't as much of a focus on honing talent, I'll say, back in the day as there is now. BAP hopping, hanging on hangers. I miss BAP. Maybe a barbecue place to grill your food on those hot. We can do that. We can do a literal Korean barbecue. She also came up through Disney, and they have a long history of not being that great to her town. Yeah, Disney, that whole monster factory. Disney and Nickelodeon in the like late 90s, early 2000s was a monster factory. If we're being honest, most of those dreams were restraining the crap out of their voices. Yeah. I mean, it's not shade, it's true. Like, there were a lot of idols that were put in position to do things that they weren't fully trained for or necessarily capable for at that time. The idols that were shy and awkward got treated differently, true. It's like, in all honesty, like, I don't listen to, I'm not a J-pop fan. Um like, I'll be completely honest, a lot of the groups I don't like their voices. Then that's not to say all of them. There are some groups that train really well and they have great voices. But I think of some, not some, but a lot of J pop groups, especially like the really pop heavy ones, they remind me of like early K-pop where it was more so about the fan interaction and how personable and cute you could be in your interactions with fans and whatnot, more so than your actual singing ability, if that makes any sense. Um, because I did notice like some J-pop groups that I have checked out, like especially the girl groups, a lot of them they can't really sing that well, and their voices are kind of grating, but they are super cute. Because yeah, it is like Amanda just commented, it's about fan service. It is very, very much about fan service, and I feel like that was definitely like, yeah, well, there's a shit ton of fan service in K-pop nowadays, but more so in like first and second gen K-pop, there was a, it was more so. I feel like in the early days of what is considered modern K-pop, say from like 1995 to the early 2000s, K-pop took more of an influence from J-pop. Um, a little too much, but they definitely took influence from J-pop in like fan interactions, group formation, songs a little bit, but not so much. Um, but then slowly towards the early 2000s, there's definitely like the late 90s, early 2000s, you started getting more of the Western influence, like the Western NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls integration into K-pop. But I find it funny that like early K-pop like borrowed so heavily from J-pop, and now it's like the complete opposite where you've got a lot of J-pop groups that are borrowing like very, very heavy from K-pop. Well, people are gonna fight me on this. Welcome, Amanda. Thank you. You're gonna fight me on this, but twice. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut on that. Like I've mentioned before, I've told you guys I'm just not that into girl groups. Like there's a couple that I really like. Like I will stand to anyone from here until my dying day, but I'm just not that into girl groups. I will admit it, like, I have been liking Everglow. I accidentally came across Adios last year or the year before or whatever, and I actually really liked it. So I've been checking them out a lot lately. Like, I really liked First. And I think I figured out why I like First so much after watching the music video, because originally I had just heard the song on Spotify, because I have, like, Spotify sends me that, like, release radar playlist, like once a week or something, where they just recommend me music based on what I'm listening to or new releases from artists I follow. And I heard First for the first time on Spotify, and then, like, last week I actually watched the MV. Hang on, I gotta get water because I'm dying now. I think I liked First so much because it is a very unisex song in the lyrics, in the, like, vocal arrangement, and in the choreography. You could literally take that song and have a boy group perform it and change absolutely nothing. You wouldn't have to change any of the lyrics, you wouldn't have to change the vocal arrangement, and you would not have to change the choreography. Like, looking at the choreography of First, there's nothing that, like, no moves are, like, hypersexual. There's not that classic, and you guys will know exactly what I'm talking about, the drop down and spread the legs move that's in almost every girl group choreography, no matter whether it's a ballad or, like, a hip hop or R&B song. There's always that move in some way, shape, or form where all the members or one of the members drops down and, like, splits their legs. That doesn't happen. And when I say, like, a boy group could cover First by Everglow, I don't mean, like, how, like, boy groups just cover girl group songs anyways. I mean, you could have had a boy group release the song and kept the lyrics, kept the vocal arrangement, kept the choreography exactly the same, and you would have never known that the song was for a girl group. And I think that is the reason that I like Everglow so much, and why I like that song itself specifically. I'm over here missing comments. I gotta go back in the chat. J-pop is very cutie style, and I really don't like it. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't. I've mentioned before, like, I just don't like overly. I don't like bubblegum pop, and I don't like over the top forced girly cuteness. That's like, I remember a couple people asked me, like, when I was going, like, in Japan, I did a live stream walking around, and people were asking me if I had gone to, or if I was gonna go to a maid cafe. No, absolutely not. I would never go to a maid cafe. Like, you would have to pay me to go to a maid cafe, because in all honesty, that just seems like hell to me. Like, my worst nightmare. Like, I don't want to be forced to pretend to be super cute and into, like, you, like, putting magic into my food and like, just let me eat. So it's gotten too Western. Like, yeah, I do believe that modern K-pop has definitely gotten way too Western. Like, I mentioned earlier in the stream that I got into K-pop because it was different. It was weird, and I really liked that. And now there's really not much difference. So it says, I see YouTube is messing with me. What happened? My best guy friend is a diehard once, and it's so hard to talk to him about K-pop because he gets so offended. I don't like every twice. I have an acquaintance that I used to work with that is super into girl groups and is super, like, really, really likes Blackpink. And I think he was upset when he finally found someone else that liked K-pop and just wasn't into them. Like, I don't think they're a bad group. I'm just not that into Blackpink. Like, they're most of the songs that they've released, Like Blackpink is one of those groups that like if I'm on Spotify and I've got a playlist like going like a playlist that's been generated by Spotify and a Blackpink song comes on, I'm not gonna skip it, but at the same time, I'm not gonna go out of my way to listen to Blackpink. Like I don't think they're bad at all, and I think like the members they're absolutely gorgeous. It's just their songs just aren't for me, and it's kind of the same thing with Twice. Says they are cute and they have catchy songs, but not super strong vocals. I won't skip their song, it's just not my cup of tea. There are a few girl groups that I stand, but there are a lot of girl group songs I like. I just don't follow them so much. With any group, whether it be like a girl group or a boy group, like I think I've mentioned in the past that I have a rule that I have to like at least five of your songs before I will finally take the time to like start doing my research into the group and learn like the individual members' names or like follow anybody on social media or whatnot. If I don't like at least five of your songs, like I'll listen to the few songs that I do like. I will check out your new music when you release it, but I'm not gonna like get invested if that makes any sense. Let me just say the girl should be allowed to be grown up like the boys. You talk about like people can bitch and complain when the boys are grown up too, but yeah, not like the girls definitely get it worse though. Usually, I'm more into female stars. They seem to get away with not having do as much fan service. True, I think solo female artists get away with not having to do so much fan service because once again, as the kind of with what we were just talking about, it gets tied into that like double standard where if you're a solo artist and you're like being super involved with your fans, especially male fans, you get that like over sexualization of every situation, whereas for some reason when it's like a group, it's evenly distributed between multiple people, so it's not as big of a deal. If I know that's weird, it may not make sense, but I don't know. Oh yeah, the magic spell the maids put on food. I don't know what that is. Like I've seen videos of like YouTubers that I follow go to maid cafes. Like I've been at conventions where they've had like maid cafes set up at the conventions, and I'm just been like, I'm all right, good. Those theme cafes are so creepy to me. Like, why would you go to a yaoi cafe or a maid cafe? I would die of secondhand embarrassment. I kind of want to go to the yaoi cafe. Just saying. See, I'm. As I expose myself, I'm actually not even a fan of yaoi or like BL or boys love or whatever. But I've seen videos of the one of the boys love cafes, and the guys are really cute. And that's the only reason I would kind of want to go. But I probably wouldn't, because actually the last time I was in Japan was November of 2019, like right before the pandemic like really kicked off, and I thought about going because there was one near where I one of the hotels I was staying in, because for a week I stayed in Ikebukuro, which is some people kind of refer to as like the Akihabara for girls, because it has like a lot of the like anime figure shops and things like that, but it's more stuff geared towards girls than men. So there's like a butler cafe there, and then there is a yaoi cafe there, and I thought about going, but I didn't, because I know I would be super uncomfortable. Because like I said, I'm not really in the yaoi or BL, but I'm not gonna lie, the guys are hot. like there's a lot of themed cafes in Japan. There's some permanent, but there's also like a lot of pop-ups. Like I said, eventually, like maybe when I have time, because I've mentioned in a previous live stream that I finally was able to recover some of the videos that I shot while I was in Japan. They're on a hard drive. I might just show some of them to you guys here in a live stream versus trying to like edit stuff to upload to the channel, because apparently that footage is cursed, because every time I try to sit down to edit it, it kills my computer or it crashes or something happens. So I'm just like, I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to show it to you guys in live stream. But I did go to a couple of cafes while I was there, including the BT21 pop-up cafe, which was an interesting experience. The one lie you should be aware of if you ever do go to Japan and you go to like a themed cafe, expect the food to not be very good and to be very, very overpriced. We don't talk about the Yaoi Cafe. That's where you scream and actually hope you have an adult present with you at all times. That's Yaoi Cafes and the what do you call them, host clubs in Japan. I didn't go to a host club. I wouldn't go to a host club because I don't have money, and you better be kind of going in there with like minimum $500 on you if you're going to a host club in Japan. But the first trip, I think I mentioned this in the past. My first trip to Japan, I didn't really know about the individual like cities and areas and whatnot. So my first trip, I stayed in Shinjuku, specifically in Kabukicho, which is the red light district of Tokyo. And my long stay hotel was specifically in the gay district of the red light district of Tokyo. So I saw some things. But one of the things is at night walking back to my hotel is you would see what they call the Ika men, the handsome men, trying to get women to come into the host clubs. So I was constantly seeing a lot of very, very, very attractive Japanese men that were trying to get me to come spend my hard-earned money bills. And I was tempted, but I was just like, I have to pay rent when I get home. Let's see here. Those same cafes are so creepy to me. Like, why would you go to a Yaoi cafe? Make would die of secondhand embarrassment. You don't have to like every song of your bias group. True. Very, very true. How do you feel about newer fans saying that specifically second gen group songs supposedly sound the same? Unpopular. I think it's because they don't want to admit that that's how fourth groups are. In all honesty, you can look at every generation of K-pop and there's a lot of songs that sound exactly the same. You can look at every era of pop in general, whether it be K-pop or Western pop music, and there were a lot of certain beats that were used that were very, very popular that made things sound the same. Because like if you go back and look at even like Western pop music from like the late 2000, like early to late 2000s, everything sounds like it was made by Timbaland. Everything sounds like it was made by Timbaland. Even like early like 2000s K-pop sounds like it was produced by Timbaland. So yeah, there was a lot there. I'd agree that there were actually a lot of second generation songs that sounded a lot like, especially girl groups. There were a lot of girl groups that put out songs that all sounded, not all, but a lot that sounded very, very similar. But you do still have that problem today because once again, they said everything is getting a little bit too westernized, and it's becoming a big game of follow the leader. So this group or this company did this and it was really popular, so we're going to do that, but we're going to tweak it just a little bit so it doesn't seem like we're copying that. But once again, that's kind of popular music in general. Lou got dragged to heck for fully clothed in what? With her shirtless boyfriend. I kind of want to go to one too, low key, just for the experience. Like, if I was ever able to like get clearance to film inside of a club or cafe or something, like on one of my trips to Tokyo, so I could like post it on YouTube, I'd go. But just for me, just going for my own enjoyment, I don't think I could do it. Like I would just be too embarrassed. Like I can't. I'm also one of those people that when I don't like going, I'm very much a hermit. Even before the pandemic, I've been a hermit. Like the only time I would ever really go out, like I don't go to bar. I hate nightclubs. I don't go to bars. The only time I would ever go to a bar was like there's like one local bar that my best friend used to bartend at before she started teaching, and I would go when I knew she was working, but that was about it. Um, so I don't like being the center of attention when I go out places. And generally when I'm in Japan, I'm by myself. I usually solo travel. So going to a host club specifically and like having a very handsome gentleman or multiple handsome gentlemen like focus on me and me alone, I could not, I wouldn't be able to handle that. And then like going to a yaoi cafe and like getting guys to act out when I'm not really into BL, especially to act out things in front of me, I would just be very, very uncomfortable. I don't think I could do it. Yaoi or Yuri sign me. Alright. Yep. If I'm not adding much to the conversation, I'm sorry, in the middle of an accounting exam. What? How are you? What? Oh, that, I keep forgetting that we're in a pandemic and, online school. Like, how are you taking an exam and also watching the live stream? Hello, Blue. Welcome. I'm sorry if I haven't been saying hi to everybody. I've been missing a lot of things in the chat, but I also know that Karina's in there saying hello to everybody. That's why I went ahead and made her a moderator. So is it just missed, where were we? I love yaoi and BL movies and stuff, but I would actually die of embarrassment. I just know it. I don't. Maybe if I was with like a group of people, so it wasn't just me that was like the focus of things, or like just me. I don't want it, like, especially in like the yaoi cafe. That's just sitting there and paying money to watch two people act out what is essentially a very intimate situation would just be weird to me. Amanda said I would definitely go to a host club. Man, Amanda, host clubs are expensive. Like there's a great documentary. I think it's still up here on YouTube called The King of Hosts. It's like it's kind of old at this point. Like I think it's like shit. I think it's like 15 almost 20 years old now, but it basically goes in depth with like guys that work at host clubs and like the customers, and it was kind of sad that like the majority of the regulars that go, like females that go to male host clubs, were basically going there for the boyfriend experience because they either didn't have boyfriends or they were unsatisfied in their relationships because like their boyfriends didn't really talk to them or listen to them or whatever. And because they were spending so much money at these host clubs, because like I said earlier, you basically should not be stepping foot in a host club unless you have like minimum $500 in your pocket, because normally it's free to get in, but the way that you're able to stay is you have to keep ordering drinks either for your like for yourself as well as the host that you're talking to, and they mark up the drinks like between 3 and 500%. So like, and you don't buy just a drink, you're buying the bottle. So for example, let's say if you were getting like a bottle of Jack Daniels, like I don't know how much is a bottle of Jack Daniels, like I forgot how much, like say depending on where you go, like 20 something to like 50 something bucks, but if you get that same bottle at a host club, it's going to be $200 plus. Like you're spending so much money. So it's like in this documentary, a lot of these women that we're talking about, like they go to the host club regularly. Like there was one girl that started going there when she was in college, and she was saying that she spends anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 a month on her host going to the club. And when you're spending that much money, you can't really make that kind of money and like still keep a roof over your head working a regular job. So a lot of these women that were like regulars at these host clubs end up getting jobs within the adult industry themselves at like places called like Soapland, where like in Japan, prostitution is technically illegal. You can do everything but put a P in a V, basically. So there's places that are called like Soapland where guys can basically go and get a hand job, and it's completely legal. And a lot of these women go and get jobs there because so they can make enough money to keep going to the host clubs and whatnot. So it's not cheap. It's not cheap. A lot of foreigners don't really go to a lot of female foreigners don't go to host clubs, mostly because of the language barrier. But there are services where you can pay. Like when I was in Japan, I found like a woman that you pay her $80 and she will basically be your translator for the night, and she will take you to like one or two of the most popular host clubs and then like translate the conversation for you. So I don't know, it's weird, but like after this, yeah, you look up the documentary, like The King of Hosts. It's wild. Also, just the guys have to put their bodies through, like basically drinking themselves to like almost to the point of alcohol poisoning, like 5 or 6 nights a week is just ridiculous. Where were we? Said the hell with rent. You know what? Speaking of, I can't say much to that because I have actually paid my rent late many a time at my old place because of K-pop, because like a concert or something went on sale like a week or two before rent was due, so I like ended up paying rent late. So you know what? I can't even be mad at you. It says it sounds like something to experience at least once. Maybe, I don't know, maybe. It sounds like a good time. It says, how are we supposed to go to concerts and buy albums if we're broke? It's hard being responsible sometimes. Man, it is. It definitely is. And in Japan especially, like the few times that I've been there, like I try to budget everything very, very closely and very, very tightly when I go to Japan. But there have been some times where I've just spent unnecessary money on like the dumbest things. Because adulting is hard and being responsible sucks. Yeah. Like back in 2019, every group was coming out with like dancehall songs. I think that started like even before 2019. I want to say that was like that started back in like 2016, 2017, and that wasn't just in K-pop. That was in the West too, because like you had a lot of R&B and a lot of pop artists releasing songs of like I guess it was technically kind of dancehall, but I like to call it dancehall light because it wasn't really dancehall, but every song had that same beat. I think that's why I really didn't fuck with Card that much, like when they first debuted, because almost all of their debut like songs around debut sounded almost identical to me because they were all that like dance hall light style beat. So last year felt very disco-esque. Yes. Oh my god. Yes, it did. And I don't like disco. So I think that's why I just so I didn't like a lot, like mostly 2019 and 2020 were very much, I listened to a lot of underground K-pop groups and indie artists and whatnot more so than like mainstream groups because I really didn't like a lot of the trends in K-pop in 2019, 2020. Who said she liked the disco style? I'm sorry, I did not. I don't like the like disco and funk inspired pop music. It's just not for me. Elizabeth said, handsome gentleman focusing on me. I'm down. Like I said, I just get uncomfortable. I one of my friends likes to mess with me that I also just don't do well with gentlemen paying me any attention whatsoever, and I'm also oblivious to when guys are paying me attention because I don't date and I haven't dated in 8.5 years now. It's also been like 9.5 years since my last relationship ended. So I don't pay attention to like guys are IRL at all. And then like the rare occasion that I do notice that someone is noticing me, abort mission, I just like run. Like I have actually literally ran in the other direction before, and one of my friends loves to make fun of me for that. Or the fact that I'm just oblivious when like guys are trying to hit on me, even if they are like attractive. I don't notice. Like I was before the pandemic, I was having dinner with a friend and we were leaving, and like a guy went out of his way to like get in front of me, and I kind of didn't even look at him and just like went around him. And when we got outside, my friend's like, so you did notice that like super hot guy was like trying to get your attention, right? And I'm like, no, I did not. Oh well, dinner was great. Does that sound uncomfortable? I would be super awkward if a handsome guy was just giving me all his attention. I went to That's another like clip that I might just show you guys here on stream once I pull up those videos instead of trying to edit a video. Um I went to see an underground boy group while I was in Japan the last time. A group I started following on Instagram, and I started talking to one of the members. And so I went to go see them perform while I was there, and it was a very interesting experience versus like going to a big K-pop concert, because this was an underground boy group. So it was like at a club in Shinokabu, which is like the big Koreatown in Tokyo. They have like a ton of little clubs where you can go see um underground J-pop groups, and also every once in a while you can catch some rookie K-pop groups. Like they'll go there to just like get experience performing in front of an audience. Um, so this was like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in this little tiny club, and it wasn't even in the club. It was like in a room above the club, and it was like the room was so tiny. It was like the size of a living room, and it was like the stage, and then there was like maybe 3 or 4 rows of chairs lined up in front of the stage. So it's like you were right there. Like, and like where I was sitting in the audience, I could have reached out and touched one of the guys if I wanted to. So it already felt really, really weird being that close to a group as they're performing. And then after the performance, and I did record some of the performance before I realized you weren't allowed to perform, and like one of the group's managers came over and asked me to stop recording, which I did. Which I was kind of upset though, because I wanted to record the I forgot what they call it. It's like the high touch in K-pop, but they call it something else. But basically, you line up just like you would with like a high touch or a fan sign or whatever, and you get to stop in front of each member, and you can spend a full minute talking to each member, and you can take a picture with them for like if for I think it was like for like $5 you can take a picture with them. For $10 you get a picture, and you get a finger kiss, which is like they will they will kiss their fingers and then put it on your cheek, or vice versa or whatever. It's so weird, but it was like it it was very, very hands-on and very up close, and like I said, you got to spend a full minute talking to each member before you had to move on, versus like K-pop with the high pop touch where it's like you literally are like rushed through like a herd of cattle, and it's like you give every member a good game pat or high five, and that's it, and you pay like an extra $100+ for that on top of your already super expensive concert ticket. And I'm pretty sure this show was free, and most of the time the shows are usually free. At most, I think like I saw one that was like $10. But I think it was free. And then like I said, like I think I got the CD, a Polaroid, and something else, and it was like $10. So I'm just like, man, K-pop got me out here like spending hundreds of dollars, and I got like 10 times what I've gotten in like the 10 years that I've been a K-pop fan for like $10. The Yao Cafe seems like that meme, what you think the experience will be versus the actual experience. Yeah, kind of. I'd feel like your name dropped into the middle of a fanfic. That kind of is what it is. It's like legitimately them acting out, because it's like you can either suggest a scene, or you can pick from like a literal menu of scenarios for them to act out. So it legitimately is them acting out fan fiction in front of you. Oop, I lost my place in the chat again because I was like running my mouth. Fanfics. I remember those days. What do you mean those days? Fanfic still happens. Remember that one, women were buying him luxury cars and stuff. Yeah, there's like there's like I said, that there's that documentary, the King of Hosts, and then I think what is that one news, I can't think of that one news organization, but if you search on YouTube, you'll find it. But there was a recent interview that was done with a guy that's like the top host in Japan now, that it's like a video from like a year ago, but like some of the gifts he was talking about that he's gotten from women are like absolutely ridiculous. There's like one documentary called The King of Hosts. Hang on, let me see if I can find whatever the other one is. There's a couple of them at this point, because like okay, nope, don't want to listen to the scary, creepy AI group anymore. Yeah, it's Vice. Vice has actually done quite a few videos on hosts. I just remember watching Sea Dog VAs on him being a host for a day, rip his liver. Yeah, like he didn't even drink like half of what like most like actual hosts, like the drinking they have to do. Like I think I've talked about before. Like I said, when I stayed in Japan the first time, I was staying in the red light district of Japan, where there's like the bars open up at like 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and they keep going till like 8. Like you, I was leaving my hotel, and you would still hear music bumping from clubs and bars and stuff at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it would be hilarious because like I learned real quick what the little hangover cure bottles looked like, because when I would leave my hotel in the morning, I would see people like literally leaving the bars or leaving the clubs and heading straight to work, and you would just see people that just looked completely tore up hanging out in front of the convenience stores chugging these little brown bottles that were are like these like hangover cures that people like swear by in Japan. Or you would see people running for the train like chugging one of these bottles. But yeah, like you would see, and because like I said, I was in Kabukicho, so that's where all the host clubs are. So I would see like male and female hosts leaving the host clubs at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, just like some guys like carrying each other because they were so hungover or so drunk still. Random topic. I just saw the background with Jimin and Washboard Ab. We talked about that earlier. I showed that off, but that's a real picture from 2013, like shortly after BTS debuted, and Suga made a deal with Army that if they had gotten their Twitter account to 10,000 followers before BTS's next performance on, I think it was Music Bank, that he would use Jimin's abs to wash his laundry. And Army did, so he posted that picture of him washing his clothes on Jimin's abs. It's how you get your clothes nice and clean in this establishment. Yes, we are very just like Juan Honuts, we are a very wholesome establishment. There's another addict establishment. We run I run nothing but wholesome, the wholesomest establishments. I've been watching too many dramas with handsome men that actually pay attention to the girl. Yeah, that shit don't happen in real life. It's all a lie. I saw a documentary about the girls that stalk idols that turn to prostitution to pay for stalker taxis and stuff. That is crazy. Yeah, that's also a thing that very much happens in Japan and in Korea. We're still on the disco thing. I love disco. I also love disco and funk. Well, apparently I'm the asshole and I'm on the wrong side of history, but I don't know. It's not for me. It says, I also haven't dated in 9 years too. My relationship has been having problems a lot, so who knows? I just decided after being in like several bad relationships and then getting out of a very bad long term relationship, taking a bit of a break from dating, and then trying to get back out into the dating scene. After about a year of that, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to take a break because I'm like dating for all the wrong reasons and I'm attracting nothing but garbage people. So I'm like, I'm just going to take a break for a little while, and then like fast forward like 5 years later, and signed up for another dating site, and then like literally within 20 minutes I was getting like the grossest messages. And so I sat down with myself and I like literally actually took out a pen and paper and I made a list of pros and cons as far as dating, and the cons heavily outweighed the pros. So like, yeah, here we are 9 years later and I still don't date, and I really like, you never know what'll happen in the future, but I can't see, I can't see myself going back to dating because it's just, I also think I've just grown complacent too, and like I like almost the thought of actually being in a relationship with another person ever again actually gives me anxiety. I'm just so very set in my ways, and like I can travel and I can do all these things by myself without worrying, and it sounds selfish, but it's nice not having to like worry about somebody else and just be able to do my own thing, if that makes any sense. Since I've been holding on to a long distance relationship that's dying because I'm too shy to meet someone else. So you're no longer in a relationship. You're playing a hyper realistic dating sim. She said, "Oh man, I wouldn't know where to look. He lives an hour away. He's not into it much anymore. Then just let it go. Just let it go. Just let it go." Like my last relationship lasted 4 years, which was about 3.5 years too long. So I wish that, because I was worried about just letting it go because I didn't want to go back into the dating scene and I didn't want to be alone. So I just stayed in a relationship with someone that I wasn't really that attracted to, that treated me like crap, and that I really had nothing in common with. I wish that when I like realized that it was going nowhere and that I wasn't happy, that I would have just let it go. So if that's the way you're feeling, just cut that cord, because it'll be so much worse later. Relationships can be so hard. I hate it. True. I'm sorry. Someone said sad hours have entered the chat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to like bring things down and like start talking about relationships, because I know that's a very touchy subject with a lot of people. Was, I learned that I was a side piece in a relationship. That unfortunately is sadly really the norm nowadays. Like, these hoes ain't loyal. These male hoes, these female hoes, ain't nobody loyal. Blue says, I'm gonna say this once. Y'all queens or kings, if we have any here. There's a few kings in here. I know that there is. Deserve someone, even though my analytics on YouTube say that there aren't. I the most like active people in the comments on most of my videos are guys. Um which I find interesting, because if you go on the back end of my YouTube channel, it basically says that I have no male viewers when a lot of my viewers are male. Especially my Chris Wu sex doll video. That one has a lot of male viewers. I'm sorry. Deserve someone who would give. Where was I? Gives you love and respect. Deserve and who understands. Yes. Sorry to hear that, Kevin. Also, welcome to the stream. For a second, I thought you said the king of hoes. I mean, no, it's called the doc is called the king of hosts. But I mean, So it said, I'm on Tinder, but mostly just put funny stuff in my bio to see the response I get. I have actually never done Tinder. Like I said, it's been almost 9.5 years since my last relationship ended, and a little over 8 years since I stopped dating. Basically, took a personal vow of celibacy. But I was on a lot of dating sites before I quit dating officially. And Tinder I did not go on, because I already knew from friends that were on Tinder that Tinder was not where to go if you were looking for anything more than a hookup. But man, oh man, maybe one of these days I'll make a video, or and here in the chat I'll show you guys some of the messages that I used to get on dating sites, because I wish I would have started saving them sooner, because oh man, when I first started on dating sites I had some whoo some crazy messages, but I do have some of them that I still have saved. Um, One of my friends used to own an art gallery, and every once in a while they would have like live events and whatnot. And there was this guy who basically refers to himself as like the he's I forget exactly how he describes it, but he's basically a professional at being rejected, whether it be in like relationships or from jobs and things like that. And he started doing this like semi art project with this thing called presentation dating, where basically anyone can come to the event. You can be single or in a relationship. Anyone can come watch the event, but you have to be single to present. And you can basically come up for 10 minutes and do whatever you want, basically. And my friend didn't have, she had a lot of people that signed up for the event to come watch, but she didn't have many people that actually signed up to present at the event. So she knew that I used to save all of my horrible dating site messages. So she's like, if I don't get it, because I was going to work the event anyways for bartending. So she's just like, if not enough people sign up to present, do you mind just coming up and reading some of those messages? So that's what I did. I actually printed out the messages, and I put them into a book, and I broke them down by chapter. So like chapter 1 was like inappropriate first messages. Chapter 2 was you tricked me, which was for like messages where in the first message the guy seemed like a decent human being, but by message 2 things got wild. Chapter 3 was brown food products, because for some reason whenever a non-black person would message me on a dating site, I was always hey chocolate, hey hot coffee. One person noticed in my profile that I was mixed, and I was half Puerto Rican, so they got creative, and I was caramel macchiato. I think my favorite one was a guy called me a fudge sickle. I got Choco Bunny a couple times. It apparently wasn't just me, because I talked to a couple other friends that were on dating sites, and they would get the brown food product names often as well. I don't remember what some of the other ones. I know there was one that was like, I don't even have a description for this, because there were just some that were just really really out there. There was like I got one. I used to get, at this time I would have been in my mid 20s, and I would get guys that were like 18, 19 years old that would call me a MILF all the time. I'm like, one, I am only like 5 years older than you. Two, I don't have kids. What the it was like sometimes I think about like signing back up for a dating site with no intention of actually like going on any dates, just for the memes, just for the laughs. So maybe one of these days, if you guys want it, I will find that book and I will like show you guys some of these crazy ass messages, because some of them just got way out there. Like I had one guy that wanted me to like burn all of his boy clothes, emasculate him, chemically castrate him, and then he specifically asked me to sell him to a black pimp. That happened. That was a first message that I got from somebody. Need to catch up with the. Let's see here. I'm like way missed a bunch of stuff in the chat. I have some friends that insist on me dating. I go, stoic. Could you care less about it? I mean, dating ain't all it's like really cracked up to be, man. This is why I have Kpop, because I have like an endless supply of boyfriends that live in my head, rent free. used to go on there just for the confidence boost. I can't imagine being in a relationship anymore. I am just too complicit. Same. I like think that's my big thing is like I've been single for so long that I'm just like I'm set in my ways, man. I actually matched with my middle school bully and he wanted to sleep with me. That just set me back mentally like 10 years. Oh man, I've had that in real life a couple of times. Like I was not a popular kid in school. I definitely got picked on quite a bit. And then soon as I finished school, I would constantly run into like different guys that bullied me or just like I had a crush on and they completely rejected me or whatever that were like trying to get in my pants afterwards and I'm just like, well, this is fun. But also, no thank you. Random couples wanting threesomes. Oh my god, yeah, I got a couple of those too. What the I also just started making notes of like what the top like fetishes were in my city from the messages that I got. Like I learned that in Ohio that a lot of guys have foot fetishes and also have a adult baby fetish is apparently a big thing here too. Tinder is wild. This is why I stay away from it. Yeah, I like I said, I never did Tinder. I did Plenty of Fish, which was just a dumpster fire. OK Cupid was okay until they kept changing things. I did Match for a little while. Trying to think what the other one. There were like two other ones that I was on for a little while. But I never did Tinder because I already knew that Tinder was just a whole like pile of like raptor dung. I think my only two creepiest experiences was when I had my resume on LinkedIn and I got a professionally worded email by a guy asking me not LinkedIn. I've gotten that kind of with my business. Like one of the reasons I stopped putting my phone number on my business cards and then also stopped putting my email address on my business cards. Like now you have to contact me directly through my website um or my online shop because after like conventions and events, guys would take my business cards and then they would message me or call me and hit on me and ask me out and stuff. Like there's a couple of them that at these events I know that they were there with like their wives and kids. And I'm like, "You nasty." So that lasted for like maybe a year after I started my business that I took my phone number off and then I started getting emails from guys. So then I took my email off and now you can only contact me through like the web form on my website or get my email address from my website, which I still get emails whenever I do an event, normally from like 50, 60 year old guys will email me after events and ask me out, and it's so creepy and weird. Facebook, a random guy DM'd me and started asking my hip. Oh, Jesus Christ. What is wrong with people? I mean, occasionally, like when on my old channel, I would get guys that would like watch my videos on YouTube and then would message DM me on Instagram. But for the most part, from at least the YouTube end of things, most people were pretty respectful. I met my boyfriend with matching with his roommate on Tinder. You traded up. You did the roommate switch. Wasn't that a thing from like some that was from like some horrible sitcom. It was either Friends or How I Met Your Mother or something like that, where it's like one of the guys was dating like one woman, but he really wanted to date her roommate instead. So everyone's like, you can't do the roommate switch. He said, I have so many screenshots of messages guys have sent me on Tinder. They're hilarious. Like, yeah, it's wild, man. Like, dating, online dating, just dating in general. Like, I'm done. I can't do it. So many people just message me DTF. Yep, I used to get those all the time. Or I have a screenshot from one guy that just messaged me. He's like, "Hey girl," first message, "Hey girl, want to ride this 9-inch dick?" And I'm, no, no, sir, I do not. I'm good. Kevin could just fill the emotional void with pets, all the pets. Yeah, I have my dog. Unfortunately, he's sadly probably not going to be with us through the end of this year. But I already plan to get a guinea pig when he passes. Like we'll just always have pets. Actual genuine kind people are just so hard to find. I had to wait 12 years for mine to notice me, even just for friendship. I mean, that's kind of also a problem too. Is like I feel like there's so many people that don't speak up to where there's still the big problem where a lot of people wait for people to notice them. No one's a mind reader, so it's like I feel like it's scary and it's like overwhelming and it's anxiety inducing. But sometimes you just have to finally just make the first move yourself and just say something. Elizabeth said, I feel it with liquor and memes. I mean, that sounds like a good way to cope to me. Kevin said, what's with these nicknames, not Choco Bunny? Yeah, that dude was a laugh fucking riot. Like, I didn't want to stop talking to him because, like, the shit that was coming out of his mouth was just, or I should say fingers because he was typing it. But he was obsessed with Frank Sinatra and he was, like, trying to, like, imitate the way Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack talked. And at first I thought he was just trying to be funny, but no, that was like legitimately like the personality he had adopted. It was very, very strange. And it also just got very borderline racist too because he's just like, "Oh, it's like I've never talked to a black girl that like talks in full." I don't even remember what he said. He's just like basically speaks proper English. He's just like, most of the girls I've talked to in the past were Shaniquas, and I'm like, and this is where this conversation ends. You are no longer funny, sir, and I'm out. God, I just missed it again. Okay, there we were. I keep having to go back in the chat because I keep missing things. What's with them and using food names to pick up girls? I don't know, but it's like I know black girls and brown girls specifically. We would get all the time because I have other black friends, female friends. I have also Indian friends. I have other Latin friends, and brown girls just get called chocolate and coffee, and all these things all the time. Like that's just the icebreaker. Elizabeth said I'd be a marshmallow. As would I. Oh my god, so many younger guys trying to hit on me. That's been my thing since I was like 22. I have always gotten hit on by either guys that are like 10 years younger than me or like 20 to 30 years older than me. There's like no in between, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious because this like carried internationally. It's like the second time I went to Japan, like when I've been in Japan, once again I don't know because like I said I don't pay attention to when guys are trying to talk to me or hit on me because I'm just oblivious to it now. But the last time I was in Japan, the first time like a Japanese guy hit on me was like this 60-year-old guy who was in a Canadian tuxedo and Harajuku, who like came up to me and like he actually spoke pretty decent English and was like trying to hit on me. I was trying to like follow me, and he was like 60. And then like the next guy was like, I went out on Halloween just because I wanted to experience Halloween in Japan, so I went to Shibuya, and I got hit on by like multiple like 16-year-old guys. And then I went to a restaurant there, and there was this guy who was trying to talk to me, but he didn't speak much English. And he was there with a coworker, so she spoke English, and she was trying to like translate for him. And then she asked how old I was. She's like, he's 20. And at that time, I was 33. And I'm like, I'm 33, and I'm gonna go now. Has anyone seen that video with the guy trying to teach how to turn women on with their eyes? But the woman looks like she's trying not to run away. Yes. Oh my god. That's a great video. Like, child, please go sit down in your booster seat. So serious degradation. Oh, the guy that wanted me to sell him to a pimp. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing of it is if like I looked at his picture, he was such a like little baby face. I think he was like 19, 20. I'm like, oh baby, you don't even know what you want yet. If Lisa ever makes a book about all these experiences, it should be called I Swear You Can't Make This Shit Up. Even if I try. I mean, like there is like I said, I have like legitimately thought about reinstating one or two of my accounts just for the memes, because they were great, and by great I mean horrible. What's with the bullies trying to hit you up years later? I Because it's now at this point they ain't shit, because they're like in the real world now and they can't get anybody, so they're crawling back to the people that they treated like shit in the back in the day. Ohio is straight up fetish country. You ain't never lied. Like there's oof. Okay, confession time. In my early 20s, I worked as a phone actress, we'll just put it that way. And man, whoo, I heard some shit. But not that often, I will say. The majority of the time and the majority of the calls that I took, the guys just wanted to talk about food. And not even in a kinky way. There was one regular that I had that we just traded like vegetarian recipes all the time. But have y'all ever been on any sugar daddy websites? I have not, but I do have a friend of a friend that was a sugar baby. She might still be, I don't know, but she was a sugar baby for quite a while she was in college, because she was also working towards being a fitness model. And I know that she was on like two sugar baby websites. Elizabeth said, okay, but can I have one without the sugar? Unfortunately, I think most are gonna want some sugar. I mean, there are some. There. Y'all are gonna think like the worst of me by the end of this live stream, because I'm just telling all my business right now. In my early 20s, I had a lot of questionable jobs. I never did anything crazy myself, but I had some questionable jobs. I was a phone actress, but that was only for like 3 months. That didn't last very long. But then I was the general manager of a private after hours club for about 6 months. And the guy that owned it was like this really rich real estate investor. And he basically essentially wanted to open a after hours like Japanese style host club, but here in the US. And it was supposed to be where guys could just come, and like his friends could come after like the clubs and the bars and stuff closed, and could hang out with attractive women and talk and whatnot. And that's exactly what it was for like a week. And then before things started getting out of hand and getting wild there, like I hated quitting that job because I made really really good money. Like the least amount of money I would walk out of there after only like 5 or 6 hours of working would be, and I always got paid in cash, is I would walk out with like the lowest amount I walked out with was like $500 after 4 hours. The most I walked out with was $4,000 after only working for about 5 hours. So I hated quitting that job because the money was really really good. The hours were short because we were an after hours club. But after I was told that I needed to go get someone's money because of an act that was happening upstairs in the bedroom that was in the club, I was like, yeah, it's time for me to go. So I still don't understand the feet thing. I don't understand people that are into feet. Like I don't feet are gross. Feet are gross. I really really do not understand feet. Amanda said I liked replying to sexual DMs with awkward memes and gifs. I used to just reply with pictures of old men. That was always a fun thing. Or if it was like a site that didn't allow you to send pictures, I used to send links to like shock sites like Lemon Party or Two Girls One Cup, just random things like when you could use like the short URL thing to hide the actual website name. Who said like maybe an old guy just wants to give me money just for me to like read the newspaper to him. I think you would literally have to go to Japan for that because they do have services like that. Like if you are lonely in Japan, you can pay somebody for anything, like just to hang out with you. Like there's a guy in Japan right now that makes like $300 an hour just to hang out with people and not say anything. So just like just so they don't have to sit alone at a restaurant or cafe or whatnot. And I'm just like, how the fuck did you make a business where you literally get paid to do nothing? Where I lost myself in my place in the chat again. Hang on. One guy wanted me to join him and his master, deleted the app real quick. Oh yeah, I definitely had some like that. Do you guys remember my friend Roger who was in a couple videos, non K-pop fan reaction videos on the old channel? Um, Back in the day, this would have been 2007, 2008, I want to say. There was this rich guy that made Roger a very interesting offer, and this guy, there's if any of you are like true horror or ghost hunting fans or whatnot, some of you might be familiar with this place. There's here in Cleveland, there's this old castle basically called Franklin Castle that is supposedly like super haunted. And at this time, this like really super rich guy owned it, and my friend Roger met him at this local gay bar called Bounce. And the guy was like super into him and offered him $10,000 a month to live in a cage under his bed. And Roger was actually considering it. And his, like, the reason he said he didn't do it was, and I quote, "I like to go out dancing." Yep. Yep, 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 yep. Shit is weird, man. Someone trying to hit me on Scrabble. No, come on, man. Why? Why? Like, I feel like we need hammers in real life. Like, what? What do y'all do? What is? Why are there just so many people that are just straight up horny on Maine? Stereotyping and fetishizing all in one. How lovely of him. Yeah, that was the Frank. I think we were talking about the Frank Sinatra guy. Yep. Someone said I want to see pictures of the Canadian tuxedo. It was. I don't know if you like if any of you guys have ever seen. I think he was like one of the like park greasers. Maybe like I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the old videos of like that a lot of tourist videos like to show of like the guys in the jean like full jean outfits dancing in the park to like 50s music and whatnot. That's legitimately what he looked like, but he was walking around by himself in Harajuku. But he had to be like 60 years old, but he was also Japanese, so he could have been like 12. I don't know. um, but he was very forward, and he followed me for a very long time. Was it just red and white with maple leaves? No, a Canadian tuxedo is like a full denim outfit. But oh god, now that I think about that, I remember he creeped me out at first because he walks up to me and he's just like, this is gonna sound bad, but his accent reminded me of Tommy Wiseau, the guy from The Room. Because he walks up and he's like flailing his arms as he's walking up to me, and he's like, "You are blowing my mind. You are so gorgeous." And I'm just like, "Okay." And he's like trying to guess where I'm from. He's like, "You're from the UK." And I'm like, "No." And then he's just like, "America." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's just like stares at me for a second, and then he's like, "Cleveland." And I'm like, "Whoa, hey there, buddy. Do you have like what? Do you have a tracking device? What is happening here?" Because I was like too dead on. So that kind of creeped me out. Was it a hockey uniform? Yes, all Canadians, that is their full uniform. They can wear nothing but hockey jerseys or shirts covered in red and white maple leaves. I'm just imagining a suit that looks like a ton of red and white maple leaves sewn together. Can we start making these actual, like, mainstream Canadian stereotypes, please? And again, that book might be worth publishing. I don't know. Like I said, when it's in my office somewhere. Maybe next live stream, I'll pull it out and I'll like read some to your like put pictures of some of the screenshots up here for you guys to look at. So I said my best friend used to be a phone actress, and she was whoop, there you go, cussed out this guy who wanted to talk about pedophile conversation. Oh, I got cussed out quite a few times from racist guys that one wanted to talk to someone that sounded like a little girl, but also they wanted to make sure that it was a white girl. Um, So I had one guy because the shift that I would work, because you worked from home and you had to be on a landline, which I hated because it was at the time when landlines were still a big thing, and you weren't allowed to use a cell phone. You had to be on a landline, and you couldn't be on the company I worked for. You had to one be on a landline, and you couldn't be on a cordless phone. So it was like for my anywhere between 5 to 8 hours shift, I would have to sit in one spot until I eventually got a longer phone cord. But the shift that I worked was in between two other jobs, so I usually worked like late night hours or whatever, or sometimes I would work in the middle of the afternoon. So the hours that I was working, there weren't a ton of other girls on the phone. So if a guy called in, didn't want to talk to me, and would hang up and call back, he would probably just get reconnected to me again, no matter what. Because I remember that whenever a call would come in, you would get a prompt to let you know what line this person had called in on, as far as like what their fetish was and what fetish they had picked, like if they picked feet or food or whatever. um so I would always know if it was pretty much going to be the same guy calling back in, depending on like what selection he picked. And so there was like one guy that was like super racist and also kind of a pedophile, who called like 4 or 5 times, and he kept getting me, and he would just kept getting progressively angrier every time he would get me. But jokes on him, because every time he called in, he was still getting charged for every single one of those calls, and I was still getting paid, so I didn't really give a shit. So yes, definitely. She stopped after that because while doing this, she was actually pregnant. Hope horrible shit happened to that guy. Yeah, pedophiles are the fucking worst fucking pieces of shit on this entire planet, and they all deserve to rot in hell. Yeah, stuff like that happens in those clubs. My best friend, that was a phone actress, also stripped for a few years, and she told me some wild stories. I bar backed in a couple strip clubs, and then eventually bartended for a little while in a few strip clubs. I actually bar backed for in a club that one of my former friends back in the day, her mom was the night man. It was like the manager on the weekends at, and like during the day she was a legal secretary, and she was like literally the stereotypical, because she was like in her 50s, but she was still super fucking hot. She would walk into the club after, like, because she it was downtown. This club was crazy. This was like the it had like a Greek theme, and it we had male dancers during the day, during the week, and then in the evenings and on the weekends it would be female dancers, and then some nights we would have both. But it was downtown in like the legal sector, so she would leave work, literally just walk around the corner from the law office that she worked at, and down this little alley to where our club was, and she would walk in her like business suit. She would take off the top, like the blazer, and she would like take her hair out of the bun and shake it out and like unbutton the top buttons on her top, and we would all just stand behind the bar and cheer, because it was so cheesy, like a scene out of a movie, but she would do it every single time that she came in. But she also was, like I said, she was in her 50s at that point, but she was a stripper back in the day, and she just loved the lifestyle and loved the clubs and everything, so that's one of the reasons that she managed the clubs. um but at the time, her daughter and I lived together, so, and she didn't drive, so we would give her a ride home at the end of the nights when we worked together. So there was one night where I was like cleaning up behind the bar, and she had had a few drinks and she was kind of tipsy. So she's on the stage swinging around the pole, and She all of a sudden does like a flip and like lands in a split, and behind me all I hear is no, and I turn around and I see my friend, her daughter. It was a very awkward car ride home because my friend's just staring at her mom the whole time, and she's like, I saw where I came from, and I know it's not the first time you did that because you did a flip and a split in stilettos. It was a fun time. So as I met, Joey did rent a mom. Anything's possible. Oh, okay. I'm like going back in the chat now, looking at comments that I missed. We were talking about basically people you can rent in Japan. Yeah, that was. I didn't watch a lot of Friends, but I do remember that episode. Like Joey rented a mom. Kevin said, "Wait, a cage." That's going back to Roger. Yeah, this rich guy wanted to give Roger a $10,000 a month allowance to live in a cage under his bed. Just remember, a classmate of mine from high school was gonna go on a blind date with a guy he met online. He literally told him, what if he's locked up and fed bread and water? His only concern was getting fat. What the fuck? What? That. No. Abort. Abort mission. Grabbed my friend and never let him meet that guy. Good. Good on you. Jesus Christ, what the hell? Chris said, Roger, no, not the cage. Well, now I know cage kinks are a thing. Then, Kevin, if it exists, there's somebody wants to fuck it, fuck on it or in it or whatever. It if it exists, it's a kink. There's a kink. There's a kink for it. It's kind of like the rule through the 34 that if it exists, there's porn of it on the internet. It's like if it exists, there's somebody's got a kink for it. Congratulations on finishing your exam, Amanda. Elizabeth said, this is really random, but does anyone remember Shia performing on a giant bed? Yes. I also remember when G Dragon performed on the bed with the one backup dancer and ended up getting fined. Hang on just a second, guys. I'm having some technical difficulties here. BRB, 1 second. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Sorry. Human furniture is a thing. Oh god, yeah it is. Jesus. I mean, Samsung did yeah, man, people jumped on the Sam mascot. So, oh my god, it was Bowsette all over again. Like my timeline on Twitter was normal, and like I said, I started following a couple VTubers, and then my timeline, whew, it went from being like 90% K-pop to like just 25-30% NSFW, like not safe for work content real quick. And when Sam came, like Sam debuted, man, I just had to put the phone down. I just had to put the phone down for a while. There's also the performance of JYP with Ben and Jack. We don't talk. We don't talk about any of JYP's sexual performances here. Those didn't happen, and you can't convince me that they did. Still somehow less explicit than American music. Man, I was just talking to a friend about this recently about like 90s R&B when it was very sexual, but at the same time there was a lot of innuendo used instead. Where now, if somebody wants to fuck you in a song, someone's just going to say they're gonna fuck you in a song. No, no innuendo or like double entendre whatsoever. Kevin said Samsung Sam is underage too. Of course she is, because of course she fucking is. That's like all the time. Every time I do like a video on like some virtual idol or something, they're always underage and lewd to all hell. Like when I was working on my CU video, and I had to do like a lot of research on um Vocaloid, and like I had to look at so much Hatsune Miku, like not safe for work content. And I'm like, she's supposed to be 16. It's just like, even like CU, I think is supposed to be 17. At least when they release the next Korean Vocaloid, fuck, Uni, she at least I think was 8. They finally made her 18. So I said there's a line between sexy songs and songs about sex. True, very true. Pony is great. Pony by Jimin. There's a podcast that is three brothers, and it's called My Brother and Me, and it's three brothers, the oldest, the middleest, and the youngest brother, and it's three white guys, um, and they were breaking down the lyrics to Pony, and it is one of the funniest fucking things that I have ever like listened to. So if you can on YouTube, look up like the shortened version of the podcast name is Mabam Bam, but it's like the acronym My Brother and Me, and just look up Mabam Bam Pony, and just prepare yourself to laugh as like three grown white men try to figure out the lyrics to Pony. Like I specifically remember one of them going, "Now, are they talking about? Is he talking about pony play here? Like, is he gonna put an actual saddle on this woman?" I just keep imagining JYP in those clear pants. No, no, not the pants. Oh God, not the pants. Not the pants. It's like not the bees. Not the pants. I laugh every time. Why did they have to make them underage? I don't. It's like in Japan, it's because legitimately in Japan, they kind of have an obsession with youth. They're here in the US, it's like companies trying to, it's literally the how do you do fellow kids thing, where it's like they're trying to appeal to the younger generation. But in Japan, it's legitimately like a fascination with youth. And because like even like there was a interview that I was reading where they were even talking about with like Marvel and whatnot, and like Marvel's very popular in Japan, but Spider-Man is the most popular Marvel character. But he didn't start becoming popular until, what's his name, Tom Holland started playing him. Basically, they were just like, because he was an actual teenager versus the previous Spider-Man. At least when I thirsted after Zuko was 13. I mean, how old was Zuko? Zuko was. No, Zuko was a teenager, wasn't he? He was like supposed to be like 15, 16, wasn't he? Because I'm not gonna lie, Zuko was kind of hot. I mean, JYJ did sing about backseat. JYJ wanted to put you on the backseat and actually literally in the backseat with them wearing sensor bars. Yes. Whenever JYP's clear pants get brought up, I think well, it could have been worse. He could have been wearing a banana hammock under them. Then, but he was just, wasn't he wearing like just like a jock strap or something underneath them? So I thought he was 16. Zuko was 16. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like pretty sure he was uh either 15 or 16. Was said, "Oh God, I never knew that was why Spider-Man was so popular there." It was like, yeah, that's legitimately what it was. Is like superhero culture is popular everywhere, but it's also popular in Japan. But Spider-Man is the most popular in Japan because he's young. I was more into Sasuke. I have actually never watched Naruto. I have never seen a single episode of Naruto, and I only know some of the characters' names from memes. As I said, it was briefs, I think. It was something, but I just remember that it definitely wasn't, it wasn't like full pants. Hang on, now you guys are gonna make me pull this up. Da, 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 da. I love that I just typed in JYP and plastic pants was like the first search term, like recommended search term. I love that someone, like within the beginning, someone's like first thing was like someone cropped in on the front of pants. Hang on. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hang on. Do 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 do. Cause if I have to look at this, I'm gonna make you look at it too. Jesus, Streamlabs make you jump into all kinds of hoops to add things. Add source. Do 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 do. Hang on, because we're gonna inspect. We're gonna inspect this. There we go. Enhance. Zoom and enhance. What is that? Cause that's the seam. The seam from the actual plastic pants. No, he's wearing like a mankini. Like he's wearing like bikini briefs underneath there, I think. Zoom and enhance. I don't want to stare at this for too long. No, look at it. Look at it. If I have to suffer, so do you guys. That's it. I'm taking away your Wi-Fi. I'm sorry. I had to. I had to. Let's see. Oh my god, you poor child. Also, idol men have been known to wear a lot of questionable, revealing clothes. Yes, yes, yes. I'm still, I'm still trying to figure out Taemin's outfit from Advice. Like it was like he borrowed a crop top from Kai, but it appeared that there was a second, either a second crop top or a sports bra underneath his crop top in Advice, and I'm still confused. But there has just like been a lot of just not even like bondage inspired clothing. There has been a lot of just straight up bondage gear worn by male and female K-pop idols in the last like 4 or 5 years. Like pretty much everything that NCT 127 wore doing during the Punch era, you can find on extremerestraints.com right now. So I said I need to wash my eyes. If I can't unsee it, you can't unsee it either. He literally asked for the smallest underwear you could find. I mean, if you're gonna wear clear pants, you want the full effect. He should have just worn what's the crap? What is it called that actors wear when they have to do a nude scene? But it's like legitimately, it looks like a thong, but it's like a merkin. I think is what it's called. It's like a flesh colored like thong looking thing. But that's usually what actors are wearing during like sex scenes or whatever. It's quick so and flash the wand. That's to cleanse our eyes. Here, I'll re. Hold on. There we go. We'll put this back up on screen just for a few seconds. There we go. More of the Washboard Ab Technology here at the Addict K-pop laundromat. Man's packing, just saying. Yeah, he's packing like a towel or paper towels. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they stuffed that banana hammock. So it said there's a lot of harnesses. Yeah, there is. This is a K-pop evolving into strip pop. I mean, it's been like that for a minute. I feel like at least on the male side of things started getting real sexual in K-pop in like 2011 ish, and then we started from the bottom, and now we're here. You could have literally picked any other pants. It's a sack with a drawstring for the men. No one host packing a lie was shocked with. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about JYP. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about this. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Bask in all of its glory. Alright, I swear I'm gonna stop now before I break something. Agreed, I thought he had a microphone in his pocket for a second. There's, if you would like to see examples, anyone, of Wonho's package, we'll just say, there's a rant I did about Wonho, which you can find a link of it on my channel. It's like linking to my old channel, but there's, if you go to on this channel and go to my rant playlist, there's a video where I did a zoom and enhance on Wonho while he was wearing some gray sweatpants, which should be illegal for him. To take that picture away, you're scarring me. I'm just sharing the love with you guys. If I have to see these things, you guys too. Time to pre-order my blind walking stick. Hey, you take that up with JYP. He did it. I'm just showing the proof. Alright, guys, I think we are gonna actually have to call this one in a little bit here, because my laptop is starting to overheat, which is why things are starting to stutter here and lag a little bit. And also, it's starting to get super hot in here, and I'd really like to turn the AC back on. Eventually, I will set things up in another room where it's further away from the AC, so you can't hear it so loud in the background. But I had a lot of fun. I'm glad so many people came this week. Thank you guys for being so active in the chat. I had a lot of fun. Like I said, if you guys ever have anything you want me to, like videos or whatever you want me to react to on here, or memes or whatever, feel free to DM those to me. The best place, if you guys are trying to DM me or send me messages, the best place to do that is on Twitter. I very, if ever, check my Instagram DMs. I actually don't even really go on Instagram that often, except for on my business account. So if you guys ever want to send me something, just send it to me on Twitter. I check that more often than anything else. I like the actual Korean barbecue idea for next week's background. So maybe we'll do that. But feel free to send me your ideas of what the next stream's background could be. Because like I said, this laundromat with the Washboard Ab Technology was suggested by you guys last week. So I will make a new background based on your suggestion for next week's stream. But thank you guys so much. I had so much fun. Again, I apologize that there was no stream last week. My computer just was not having it last week. I don't mind the accent. We don't feel the love tonight with that picture. Aw, I'm sorry. They said I'm finally glad I got. I'm glad that you made it too, Amanda. I hope you did well on your exam. I know we were distracting you a little bit. Alright, well, I'm going to sign out here. Thank you guys again. Have a good upcoming week. And I will see you guys all again next Sunday. Take care.